Good afternoon. My topic is anti-tuberculosis therapy, current concepts. Tuberculosis has produced havoc with mankind for ages. It infects one-third of the world population, and of this, one-third of the globally prevalent tuberculosis cases are in the Indian subcontinent. And the financial burden of treating TB cases in India cost the country around 1,300 crores. So it is a serious problem. Fortunately, the sanatorium era is over, thanks to the development of anti-tuberculosis drugs, the first of which was streptomycin, discovered in 1946, followed by the magic bullet, INH, and later came rifampicin, which helped us to reducing the course of the disease, course of the treatment. So anti-tuberculosis drugs can be classified as first-line drugs and second-line drugs. The first-line drugs are INH, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, ethambutol, and streptomycin. Second-line drugs, there are a large number of them. To mention a few, ethionamide, PAS, cycloserine, kanamycin, and caprimycin. What is the goal of this giving ATT? To kill the tubercle bacilli rapidly. That is the early bactericidal effect. Prevent the emergence of drug resistance and to eliminate persistent bacilli to prevent relapse. That is the sterilizing effect. So we have got daily regimes, intermittent regimes, and which is followed nowadays is the short course regime, that is the DOTS. Here the treatment duration is less than 1 year, usually 6 months, extended to 12 months in selected cases. Relapse is very high if the duration of treatment is less than 6 months. In 1993, India adopted a strategy known as the Revised National Tuberculosis Control Program. It is an adaptation of the DOTS strategy. The aim was to reduce the mortality and morbidity due to tuberculosis, to break the chain of transmission, to provide supervised regimes to all patients, and to administer anti-tuberculosis drugs under DOTS. The DOTS is based on research done in India, so it is our child. It has become the accepted standard for the diagnosis, treatment, and monitoring of tuberculosis in India and elsewhere in the world. The 5 principles are case detection by microscopic examination of the sputum in patients, adequate drug supply, short course chemotherapy given under direct observation, systematic monitoring and accountability for every patient. So every patient will be accounted for, and the political will to do it. The benefits are increases the proportion of patients cured, the death rate decreases, the prevalence of the drug resistance falls, relapse rate is reduced, and transmission interrupted, and thus the incidence falls. It is a domiciliary treatment, short course chemotherapy, intermittent chemotherapy, and directly observed treatment. It has got an intensive phase. The aim is for rapid killing of the bacilli. A state of non-infectiveness is obtained within 2 weeks. Quick relief of symptoms, smear negativity by 2 months, and prevent development of drug resistance. In the continuation phase, it aims at eliminating the remaining bacilli, that is the sterilizing effect, by killing the persisters and to prevent relapses. RNTCP provides the drugs free of cost. WHO has given 3 categories. Cat 1, that is new smear positive cases and all seriously ill smear negative cases and extrapulmonary cases. Category 2, all failures. Category 3 was there, but recently they have withdrawn this category. Now we have got only category 1 and category 2. So for the treatment is Some people still follow the daily regime, but what is recommended is the intermittent regime with INH, rifampicin, pyrazinamide and ethambutol 3 times a week for 2 months, followed by INH and rifampicin 3 times a week for 4 months. These are the dosage recommendation. I will not go into that. Extrapulmonary tuberculosis, where we deal with the bone and joint tuberculosis. It is treated in the same way as pulmonary tuberculosis. Some experts recommend extending the duration of therapy in meningeal tuberculosis and bone and joint tuberculosis. Corticosteroids may be useful as adjunct in the treatment in extrapulmonary tuberculosis. So usually the duration of treatment is 6 months. In bone and joint tuberculosis, it may be extended to 9 months, and in central nervous system involvement, it may be extended to 12 months. Produces a number of adverse effects, of which the skin rashes are fairly common, and what we find is drug-induced hepatotoxicity is another problem that is very common. The transaminase elevation is age-dependent with INH, dose-dependent with pyrazinamide, and cholestasis with rifampicin. They are usually asymptomatic, and symptoms imply significant hepatotoxicity. Mild transaminase elevation may not be clinically significant. Management of hepatotoxicity, you withhold all medication and follow liver enzymes for significant hepatotoxicity. Rechallenge depends on the circumstances and severity of liver dysfunction. In general, the patient should be restarted with ethambutol, which is the least hepatotoxic drug, followed by rifampicin, and only later by INH, which is the more hepatotoxic than other drugs. Now coming to drug resistance, there are 2 types of mechanisms, genetic transfer mechanisms and non-genetic mechanisms. Multi-drug resistant tuberculosis is a very serious problem. It means that the bacilli are resistant to at least INH and rifampicin, with or without resistance to other first-line anti-tuberculous drugs. So it is resistant to rifampicin and INH, along with resistance to other first-line drugs like streptomycin, ethambutol and pyrazinamide. Another term that is used is extensive drug-resistant tuberculosis or XDR-TB. Here the bacilli is resistant to INH, rifampicin, along with resistance to any of the quinolone or one of the 3 injectable second-line drugs like kanamycin, amikacin and camprimycin. So it means resistance to rifampicin, INH, to other first-line drugs, to one of the quinolones and one of the injectable drugs. So this multi-drug resistant tuberculosis is termed as category 4 tuberculosis. Here what is recommended is an intensive phase of treatment with kanamycin, ofloxacin, ethionamide, pyrazinamide, ethambutol and cycloserine, and a continuation phase with ofloxacin, ethionamide, ethambutol and cycloserine. But you can individualize treatment depending upon the availability of drugs. Now what is new in anti-tuberculosis treatment? A large number of drugs are under trial. Some has come into the market, especially the long-acting rifamycins. The rifampicin have got a very short half-life, so a rifamycin derivative with longer half-life may be useful. Rifabutin and rifampicin are already available in the US market, and they are usually given once a week. Fluoroquinolones are again useful. They are all coming in, they are available and they have been added as anti-tuberculous drugs. Moxifloxacin, levofloxacin and gatifloxacin. And they are useful in active tuberculosis, multi-drug resistant tuberculosis and XDR tuberculosis. Then macrolide antibiotics, especially the clarithromycin, is promising. Newer methods of treatment, I don't have any experience with that. I just went through the literature and found cytokine immunotherapy. Immunomodulation, there was a report in Indian Journal of Orthopedics from Delhi. Anil Jain has reported the use of immunomodulation by using levamisole, BCG plus diphtheria tetanus vaccine, and he said that it improves the immunity in these patients, especially in cases of spinal tuberculosis. Mycobacteriophage mediated gene replacement and novel therapeutic approach to MDR tuberculosis like immunotherapy with heat kill mycobacterium vaccae, cytokine therapy and thalidomide analogs because they control the cytokine production. These are some of the new things which are coming up. In summary, appropriate treatment and assessment of adherence to treatment is an important public health issue. So you have to treat it and make sure that the patients are taking the drugs. Otherwise, it will become a community problem. The use of internationally accepted first-line treatment regime is associated with high cure rate and low risk of acquired drug resistance. Pulmonary and extrapulmonary tuberculosis are generally treated with the same regimes. Treatment includes assessment and the services for comorbid conditions that may affect tuberculosis treatment outcomes. This is especially true with the management of retropositive cases. Monitoring for both response to treatment and potential adverse events are essential. Thank you for a patient here.